Most people think small talk is about being interesting, but the truth is, small talk is about making others feel seen. Everyone tries to say something smart, but nobody tries to simply be present. That's why conversations feel awkward. That's why silence feels heavy. That's why so many people stand in a room full of voices and still feel completely alone. Ryan was one of them. He wasn't loud, he wasn't funny, he wasn't confident. He was the quiet guy in every room. In class, he sat in the corner. At events, he checked his phone. In group conversations, he smiled and said nothing. People didn't dislike him, they just didn't notice him, and that hurt more. Every day he told himself, "Next time I'll talk." But when the moment came, his mind went blank. He thought too much, he worried too much, he stayed silent again. Days passed. He watched others laughing, talking easily, making friends in minutes, and he wondered, how do they do that? One evening, Ryan attended a small college event. Students were talking in groups, sharing jokes, making connections. Ryan stood near the wall, holding a cup of tea, looking busy, doing nothing. He wanted to join, he really did, but his feet stayed still, his voice stayed quiet. Then someone bumped into him. An older man, calm face, soft smile. "Waiting for someone?" the man asked. Ryan shook his head. "No, just standing." The man nodded and stood beside him. Silence. But it wasn't awkward. It felt peaceful. After a moment, the man spoke again. "You know why small talk feels hard?" Ryan looked at him. The man said softly, "Because you're trying to impress instead of connect." Ryan stayed quiet, listening. The man continued, "Small talk is not about perfect words. It's about simple presence. People don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel." Then the man picked up his tea and smiled. "Start small. Just notice things. Ask simple questions. That's enough." And just like that, he walked away. Ryan stood still, thinking. Start small. Notice things. Ask simple questions. It sounded simple, but also difficult. The next day, Ryan tried. In class, he sat beside a student. His heart was racing. He looked at the notebook, then quietly said, "Is this assignment due today?" The student nodded. "Yeah, I think so." Silence again. Ryan felt awkward. He looked down. The conversation ended. He failed. That night, he replayed it in his mind. Too short, too awkward, too boring. He almost gave up. But then he remembered, start small. So he tried again. Next day, he sat beside the same student. This time, he said, "Yesterday's lecture was confusing." The student laughed. "Yeah, I didn't understand anything." Ryan smiled, a small smile. The student continued, "Are you from this department?" Ryan nodded. "Yes." Conversation lasted 20 seconds, but something changed. It didn't feel heavy. It didn't feel forced. It felt natural. Days passed. Ryan kept practicing. Simple comments, small questions, soft smiles. "Long day today. This class is tough. Nice presentation." Nothing impressive, nothing perfect, but slowly people started responding. Some smiled back. Some talked longer. Some remembered his face. Ryan wasn't louder, he wasn't funnier, but he was present, and that made a difference. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. A group project was announced. Students quickly formed teams. Ryan stayed quiet, waiting, just like always. But then someone waved. "Hey, Ryan, join us." He looked surprised. It was the same student he spoke to. Ryan walked slowly, sat with them. They started discussing ideas. At first he listened, then softly said, "We could also try this." They nodded. "Yeah, that's good." They listened. For the first time, he wasn't invisible. He was part of the conversation. Weeks passed. Ryan kept improving. Small talk became easier. He noticed people more. He listened more. He smiled more. Then came the big test, college networking event. Hundreds of students, new faces everywhere. Old Ryan would stand near the wall, but this time he took a deep breath, walked forward. He stood near a group, listened, then softly said, "Is this your first time here?" They turned. "Yeah." Conversation started. One question became two. Two became 5. Minutes passed. They laughed, they talked, they connected. Ryan felt calm. No pressure, no fear, just conversation. And in that moment, he realized something powerful. Small talk was never about being interesting. It was about being interested. It was never about perfect words. It was about simple presence. Most people fail at small talk because they try to perform. But connection doesn't come from performance. It comes from attention, from listening, from noticing, from caring. That night, Ryan walked home quietly. The city lights were soft. The air felt calm. He wasn't the loudest person. He wasn't the funniest, but he wasn't invisible anymore. And sometimes that's all small talk needs. Not big words, not perfect confidence, just a small question, a soft smile, and the courage to begin.